Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I would like to have a meeting with all of you about my company's problem. Before we start, my name is Muhammad Zul Hakimi bin Muhammad Nasir as a CEO from JHY Berhad. Actually, my company is having a problem in managing its own working capital and utilize the current assets because not be able to supply enough product during any Malaysian celebrate festival due to lack of manpower of productions. Other than that, my company also not be able to invest the money that has inside the bank. So in this meeting, I would like to appoint a consultant from all of you to settle my company's problem.
So my name is Muhammad Ali Zailan as financial manager. So before we discuss about your company's problem, let us discuss current asset and current liabilities first. So I will pass to our two consultants, which are Ahmad Syafiq and Muhammad Amirul Luqman.
So I will explain about the component of the current asset, which is we have four. The important of the current asset, firstly, is cash and cash equivalent. Cash are the most liquid of asset, making them more current than all other current asset. Cash, of course, requires no conversion and is spendable, as is one withdrawn from the bank or other place where it is held. Cash equivalents such as certificate of deposit and any type of liquid securities that are not in the form of cash currently but can be converted to cash instantly. Next is marketable securities. Marketable securities are highly liquid assets that can be exchanged to cash quickly and without losing value. They are not usually part of a company activities and are classified as a current asset, which means they will be transformed into cash in less than 1 year. As a result, they are frequently factored into business balance sheet, working capital calculation. If marketable securities are not included in working capital, it is frequently mentioned. Only operational assets and liabilities are considered in the concept of adjusted working capital. For example, any financing related item such as short-term debt and marketable securities are included. Third is inventory. Inventory is a current asset because it can be converted into cash within 1 year. Inventory is a current asset since it is something that a business has but has yet to sell. Also, retail item, often known as backstock, is an example of this. This includes raw material, work in progress, or unfinished product and finished good. For example, aluminium and steel can be considered inventory. And the lastly is account receivable. Account receivable are money owing to a corporation for product or services provided or utilized but not yet paid for by consumers, as long as they can be expected to be paid within 1 year. A part of company accounts receivable may not qualify for inclusion in the current asset if it makes sales by giving customer extended term of credit. It's also likely that some account will never be completely paid off. An allowance for questionable account is removed from account receivable to reflect this concern. If an account is not paid, it is written off as a bad debt expenditure, and such entries are not counted as a current asset. So, next I will pass to Mr. Amir Rahman to explain about the current liabilities.
For current liabilities, we have three, which is account payable, short-term debt, and dividend. For account payable, payment terms are linked with accounts payable. Payment to the supplier, for example, might be due in 30 days or 90 days, depending on the terms. If the firm does not pay the payment within the time stipulated by the supplier or creditor, it is in default. On a company's balance sheet, accounts payable is reported. Accounts payable is a liability since it is money owing to creditors and is reported on the balance sheet under current liabilities. Current liabilities are a company's short-term liabilities, usually shorter than 90 days. For short-term debt, when assessing a company's success, the value of the short-term loan account is critical. Simply put, the higher the debt to equity ratio, the more concerned investors are about the company's liquidity. If the account exceeds the firm's cash and cash equivalents, it indicates that the company is in bad financial condition and will be unable to meet its upcoming commitments. The quick ratio is the most popular measure of short-term liquidity. It is used to determine a company's credit rating, which influences its ability to obtain funding. Last but not least, dividend. Dividends are payments made to shareholders from a company's profits. When a company makes a profit or has a surplus, the money can be reinvested in the company, known as retained profit, or paid to shareholders in the form of dividends. Share repurchases, reported as treasury stock in the owner's equity column of the balance sheet, and dividends are the two ways to transfer funds to shareholders. Now I'll pass to financial manager to explain more.
So, next is working capital finance policy is concerned with the sources of working capital as well as the amount of working capital that a company should maintain. A company is concerned not only with the number of current assets but also with the proportion of short-term and long-term sources of current assets financing. After considering the variability of cash inflows and outflows as well as the level of risk, a company can choose from a variety of working capital investment programs. First is JHY Berhad can take hedging policy. The hedging strategy, also known as the matching policy, is one of the ways by which a company finances its working capital needs. This policy operates in a way that the company's present assets are utilized to properly match the company's current liabilities. Long-term sources are used to fund fixed and permanent current assets, while short-term sources are used to fund fluctuating current assets. This is moderately risky policy that necessitates close scrutiny. For example, if a bank loan is due in 6 months, the company will make sure that it has enough cash on hand to repay the loan on the due date, even if it doesn't have enough cash right now. Second is conservative policy. This approach aims to avoid the risk associated with current asset financing. In this case, a large proportion of long-term sources will be used to fund present assets. The company not only align current asset with current liabilities, but also retain some extra cash on hand in case of unforeseen circumstance. This is the least risky working capital approach, although it does not ensure optimal fund utilization. So that's all our plan for your company problem.
Wow, that was a superb advice. I will take those advice into consideration and see if it will improve my company progress. With that, that is the end of our session for meeting today. Thank you for your cooperation and for your guidance. If my company having a problem in future, I will contact all of you to have a meeting to manage my company's problem in the future.